I'll never forget the day my world caved in around me. It was an unassuming Tuesday afternoon, the kind that usually passes without remark. The sun poured through the living room curtains in a lazy golden haze, and the house was steeped in that deceptive quiet only homes with secrets know. I came home early from a meeting that ended ahead of schedule, my arms filled with grocery bags, my mind humming with plans for a special dinner. It was meant to be a celebration for Mark's promotion, a small, private moment to honor a shared success. The air inside smelled faintly of lavender, a soft trace in the candles I'd lit the night before. Everything felt still and warm, like a pause in a perfect song. I remember thinking, this is what contentment feels like. That thought, that fleeting flicker of peace, was the last I'd know for a long time. I started up the stairs, each step light with anticipation. Then I heard it. Soft laughter, muffled and close. The sound didn't belong. It was too intimate, too familiar. A woman's voice, then another, one I'd known since college. My pulse faltered, but my feet kept moving, compelled by a dread I didn't yet want to name. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, just enough for the light to spill through, and just enough for me to see what I was never meant to. There, tangled in the sheets of our bed, were the three people I had trusted most. Mark, my husband of 12 years, wrapped in the arms of Rebecca and Jenna, my best friends, my sisters by choice. Time didn't stop. It shattered. Their limbs were a chaotic, intimate mess, all whispers and soft moans. Rebecca's dark hair spilled across the pillow I found in a dusty flea market stall on a rainy afternoon. Jenna's unmistakable laugh, the same one that had filled my kitchen over coffee 100 times, cut through the silence like a blade. And Mark's hands, the same ones that had once wiped my tears and promised forever, were exploring bodies that weren't mine. I didn't scream. I didn't sob. I simply stood there, frozen, as if my soul had disconnected from my body. The grocery bag slipped from my grip, the sound of apples thudding and rolling on the floor, breaking the spell. That was when they noticed me. Mark's expression collapsed, pure naked panic. His mouth opened and closed uselessly, like he was drowning in air. Rebecca scrambled for the blanket, her face pale with guilt, while Jenna looked at me with something unreadable, a tangle of shame and challenge. I turned without a word, walked down the stairs with the same quiet grace I'd walked up with, and sat on the couch Mark and I had saved months to buy. Silence wrapped around me like a second skin. It was strange. No tears, no fury, just a glacial calm. I thought of the years I'd given to all three of them, the shared laughter, the confessions, the countless nights I'd poured myself into keeping us all afloat. I thought about Rebecca's whispered dreams over late-night wine, Jenna's career advice during our Sunday brunches, and Mark, the man I built a life with from nothing. I saw the cracks now. Every late night, every avoided gaze, every too-slick excuse that I'd smoothed over with blind love. But it wasn't rage that came to me. It was clarity. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat alone at the kitchen table with a glass of wine, untouched, my mind racing like a storm surge. I wouldn't be the broken woman they expected. I wouldn't collapse into some cautionary tale. I'd be precise, strategic. I started by digging. I scrolled through old texts, scanned every suspicious message, replayed every little moment that had once felt off. Then I remembered the hallway security camera Mark had installed last year after a break-in down the street. I logged into the app. My hands trembled as I rewound the footage. And there was grainy, undeniable proof. Their voices, their laughter, their betrayal. I downloaded the file, saved it to a USB drive, and buried it in my desk drawer. That was just the first step. Over the next few days, I became what they thought I couldn't. A ghost in my own home, playing the shattered wife while I gathered every thread they had tried to keep hidden. Mark spun lies about client dinners and late-night strategy meetings. I smiled, nodded, pretended to believe. Meanwhile, I went through his laptop when he showered, unearthed a shell company registered in a city he'd never mentioned, and bank records with transactions I hadn't approved. I looked into Rebecca and Jenna next. Rebecca's boutique, once her passion project, had been flagged for irregular tax filings. A few clicks later, I discovered Jenna's consulting firm was connected to several businesses under federal review. What began as personal betrayal had unfolded into something far deeper, a criminal web, and I was caught right in the center of it. I knew I needed allies. I left the house with just a suitcase and checked into a hotel under a different name. Then I made the first real call of my new life, to a lawyer a friend had once whispered about in hushed admiration. Someone ruthless, efficient, and surgical. Then I hired a private investigator, a hardened man named Tom, who took one look at the USB and said, "Give me a week." While Tom did his work, I built my arsenal: emails, screenshots, receipts, audio files. Every breadcrumb I could find, I collected. Mark kept calling, alternating between pleading voicemails and venom-laced rants. I never answered. Rebecca and Jenna texted long apologies, dripping in performative remorse. I deleted each one. Tom moved faster than I could have hoped. He slid a folder across a diner table, his face unreadable. Inside was damning evidence. Photos of Mark in late-night meetings with known fraudsters, banking ties, offshore accounts, and links showing that Rebecca and Jenna were laundering money through their businesses under Mark's guidance. I didn't cry. I smiled. Armed with proof, I gave the green light to my lawyer. We froze the joint accounts. I filed for divorce. I wasn't just leaving. I was detonating the entire illusion they had wrapped me in. Mark tried to paint me as hysterical. Rebecca and Jenna whispered behind closed doors, calling it an overreaction, but I was already 3 moves ahead. I sent anonymous packages to Mark's high-profile clients, copies of the documents linking him to financial fraud. Whispers turned into scrutiny. Scrutiny turned into termination. Then I tipped off the IRS, attaching records and screenshots, pointing them straight at Rebecca's boutique and Jenna's firm. I didn't need to destroy them. The truth did that for me. Then came the final blow. Tom told me when and where Mark would be giving a major business presentation, one he'd been preparing for months. I walked in uninvited, my lawyer beside me, holding the manila folder like a dagger. The room went dead silent as I laid everything out. The shell companies, the money laundering, the collusion. Mark's face turned a sickening shade of white. His colleagues watched, slack-jawed, as the empire he'd built on lies collapsed in front of him. I left him there, surrounded by silence and shame. The divorce was swift, brutal. I kept the house, the one I had filled with love and light. I kept my business, the one I built long before Mark. He walked away with nothing but legal debt and a reputation scorched beyond repair. Rebecca's boutique closed under federal investigation. Jenna's firm crumbled after her clients withdrew. 1 year later, I stood in my sunlit kitchen. My son laughed in the yard, chasing a ball through the grass. The lavender-scented air returned, but this time it was mine. Every inch of this new life had been rebuilt from scorched earth. Stronger, wiser. I didn't just survive their betrayal. I outlived it. I buried it. And in the ruins they left behind, I grew something real, something they could never touch.